Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are starting the series of the equity research analyst, where we will discuss how this equity research analyst career is important if anybody want to pursue as a become equity research analyst, or he has just understanding how the equity research analyst working on the industries. Let us discuss firstly about the examination. We are preparing this series in the point of to clear the exams, the equity research analyst. So in each section, what are the how many chapters in this series and how we proceed further each chapter wise. So what is the weightage of this chapter equally, to where we have to emphasize on where the main focus on the win key chapters, where the maximum marks we can get from that chapter, as well as what where we should take a less importance to the chapter, and what are the chapter where we focus more towards to gaining more marks. And not only the gaining marks, but we should starting to understand what are the main purpose of clearing this exam. Firstly, this exam is mandatory as a requirement if you are working on the industry. So as a equity research analyst, you must have to clear that exam. So let us discuss one by one. In the first chapter, if you will we will discuss about the introduction of the research analyst profession, which has the 3 marks weightage. And each chapter, as you see on the screen, the weightage are different. In the exam point of view, the economic analysis and industry analysis having the 10 marks weightage, as well as company analysis. So we can call the EIC analysis, economic, industry and the company analysis, having a more weightage at the 30 mark. Approximately 30 marks come from this only 3 chapter: economic, industry and company analysis. So how many marks are required to clear this exam? We can say the 60 mark is the minimum requirement to clear that exam. You should also know about the negative marking of in this examinations. So if you attempt 60 question, then if you are 100% accuracy and attempting the 60 question, that you are able to clear the exam, that will not happen in the very, like the scenario we will you attempt 60 question and you have 100% accuracy. That probably not happen in a very genuine way. So how many questions you should attend in the examination? At least 80 question you should must attend in the out of 100 question, where you have given 2 case study. As we further proceed on the next slide, there is a more clarification on that. So let us come back again and let's discuss about the what are the main 3 chapter: economic, industry and company analysis. And after that, the main 2 chapter comes from the valuation principle having the 16 marks weightage, and the legal and regulatory environment having a 10 weightage. Where the legal and regulatory environment, some is the more critical chapter, because there is a more and more principle basis and the regulation oriented, where you have to learn the what is the regulation, what is the time period of that like any regulation having starting from some year, and they had modification come the act what are the acts, what are the different types of the law and regulations in that chapter. You have to more emphasize on the law perspective. And as we further proceed, you can seek the clarification on the each and each chapter. So where what are the main focus and key chapter for us to clear the examination? You should never forget about the EIC, economic and industry and company analysis. After that, valuation chapter and the legal. These are the 5 key chapter, five chapter which where you have to focus on the more and more side. In that chapter, we valuation principle, you have got some numericals question that is easy to write. The probability of writing the numerical question, if you are able to solve that question, you will get surely marks. In theoretical questions, sometimes the options are very close to, so you are able to somehow the doubtful situation which answer should be marked. So in that scenario, a numerical has a more weightage. If you able to solve the case study which is numerical based, it is probably easy to grasp the marks at that segment. Let's proceed further in this chapter. Let us discuss the assessment structure of the examination. As you see on the screen, there is the multiple choice questions, that in the examination the multiple examinations or the 90 is the 92 questions comes from the multiple MCQ based questions, that having the each question having the 1 marks. If you got in the wrong answer, then the 25% marks will be deducted. That means the 0.225 marks will be deducted as you got the wrong answer. So keep in mind, the more and more where you are confident enough to it is a right answer, then you have to mark. Firstly, you have to just confident about the clearing the examination, getting the 60% safely marks, and after that, you if you have a time to solve the more question, then you have to take a risk of that question that you are not able to solve it, because there is a negative marking. To be very careful about the accuracy. If your accuracy decline below the 80%, it is very difficult to clear the examinations. Like the case study based question, the two cases of the case study based having a 4 marks, that each carries the 1 marks itself. So there is a 92 questions which is from the MCQ based, and that at question from the case based question. In examination you have to show the 92 questions as well as, okay. So let's proceed to further. So scenarios are very different to investing in the stock. So what is the role of the equity research analyst? Yeah, research analyst to identify the stock and recommend to your client or any institution which is having going to invest on any stock or any sectors. So what is the role of the research analyst? To recommend, and after researching the different aspect of the company, doing EIC analysis, economic industry and the company analysis, and doing the valuation of the company, is this the right time to invest on a company or not. So that kind of job the equity research analyst has to do. So let us go the according to the NISM workbook. Now let us discuss one by one each. Okay. So what is the learning outcome? uh, One minute. Sorry, first. Okay. The learning outcome first. After the studying this chapter, you should know about what is the role of the equity research analyst, primary responsibility of the equity research analyst, basic principle of the interaction the companies and our clients, important qualities that are desired in an equity research analyst. What I have created the one by one each section wise. So what is the equity research professions, and after this we have to cover the four aspect. What is the primary role of the equity research analyst? What is the primary responsibility of the research analyst? RA means research analyst. The basic principle of the interaction with the company and client, importance qualities of the research analyst. We have to cover four aspects in this scenario, and after that in each section what we have to study. Let understand the primary role of equity research analyst. We have three segments left. What is the sell side of the analyst, what is the buy side of the analyst, and what is the independent research analyst. Understanding in the second section what is the responsibilities of the RA. Firstly, understand the role. What is the primary role? So what do you have to understand? Firstly, understand the role, and after that understanding the role, what are the responsibilities of the research analyst, and after that, understanding the role and the responsibility and how we should interact with the company and client. Understanding role, understanding the responsibility, understanding the interaction, how we should interact, and after that what are the quality that you should must have as a equity research analyst. So let us discuss one by one after the each slide. So understanding the things from the micro perspective is very important. In a microeconomic analysis, what we will do, we will do the bird eye view. So we will see the from the sky point of view. If you see the from the higher side, you can see the ground in a very bigger way. If you are see here, and you can see the cover the area very much. So what is the microeconomics data is saying, how the country is performing, how the country's GDP is growing, what is the inflation rate on the country, what are the employment country is generating, what is the unemployment of the company. After understanding any country, you will just go on a deeper side. Now what will come, you will come on the sector side, sector. After that they will come on the industry. After the industry, what will come, the company analysis. Sorry. So in mic after that, we what will come in the, if you come on the company side, now we what will come, the micro data. Micro data will play on the companies. So what is the annual report of that company, what is the quarterly report of the performance of the quarterly report, what are the DRHP is called the draft red herring prospectus. What is the draft red herring prospectus? Any company which want to raise fund from the public, in the process, in the going on a listed on the stock exchange, that is the first time when the company is going raising fund from a public through SEBI, SEBI regulations body, that is called the red herring draft prospectus, that is submitted to the SEBI side. After that, the company is listing, they can raise money from the common public in the forms of issuing a share and got the money. What is the share premium he is got the money, they can utilize what purposes he want to use. He has certain limitations to using that fund also. What is the government statistics side? You can collect the data of the industry, specific industry information, and the company specific information. You can use the government statistics website, where you can extract the data from what. From a decision point of view, what is the two things is very important to making any decision. Firstly, firstly one was the what is the qualitative analysis is more over the textual things, and what is the quantitative factor after investing the number, where is the number is not involved, that is called the qualitative data. Where your the number is involved, the analysis of the numbers, they will call the quantitative factor. Combining both the factor qualitative and quantitative, you can take the decision, you can come across the decision. So if we can take a very help on the any company which want to analyze in the further upcoming series of the video, we will perform the thoroughly any one companies, what is the economic analysis, the company analysis, and what is the industry analysis. We will go on the like of any very practical way in the upcoming videos. Let's move on the next slide of the curriculums. What is the primary role of the research analyst? Understanding the roles of the research analyst in the first slide. Let's go on the further side. So in the research analyst, there is a different type of the research analyst. Going for in a first slide, we have talked in a very general basic thing that the any type of research analyst has to perform. In the research analyst, there is a type of research analyst. What is the type of the research analyst? The like the sell side research analyst, buy side of research analyst, and the independent research analyst. So what is the sell side of research analyst, and what is the their roles? These research reports are available on the public domain, giving recommendation to buy, hold, and sell the subjected securities. These analysts work for the firm that provide investment banking, broking, and advisory service for the client. So let us understand in a very genuine way. You come across the like the site, you can go on the site of the trend line, where you can see the any company's quarterly report on the publish, like any broker like HDFC Securities, ICI Security. Most of the full-time broker has published their report to their client or their customers, where they issues the report of the companies, where they recommend to buy, sell, and hold. That type of research are very influenced to giving advice to their customers and the retail investor to buy particular, sell, buy, and sell. because but the motive of buying and selling, they if the retail investor will perform any action, they will earn the brokerage after the buying and selling of the each transaction. The motive of the more and more transaction, that will generate the brokerage which will company will earn from that. What is the role of the buy side analyst? Any asset management like the mutual fund, hedge fund, pension fund, alternative investment fund, or foreign portfolio investor, or the portfolio manager that purchases and sell the security for their own investment account or behalf of their investor and the client. So very clearly there is a two type of analyst, sell side and the buy side. Sell side is the report is available on the public domain, but the buy side research analyst report is not published in the public domain. That type of research analyst is utilized for their own purposes. They will say, the purchase and sell of the security of their own investment account on the behalf of their investor. Suppose that any retail investor, like they invest in the mutual fund, they will if you see the any person who is buying the mutual fund, what he is buying the mutual fund, he is buying any stock of the company? No, he will not buying any directly, not directly buying of the any stock of the company. Stocks of the any company is buying on the mutual fund manager. He is doing the transaction on the behalf of his client. So what the happen in the mutual fund, he will create a pool of money from the retail investor, and after that the collection of the money comes to the fund manager, and after the fund manager is decided how many stock of the which company and how much stakes of in companies we have to buy, and what are the portion where we have to invest more and where we invest on the lesser side. His decision is performed by the fund managers. So it is very clear in your mind the purchase and sale of the security that own investment account on the behalf of investor and the client. That's very crystal and clear. These reports are usually for the internal consumption and not available in the public domain. So very clear. Sell side reports are very common report available on the each like the full-time broker, HDFC, ICICI, Motilal Oswal. There are various sources you can extract the equity research report of the any of the company. Most of the report you will got in the quarterly update. Why? What is the purpose of doing the quarterly report? Just one motive: more and more brokerage creation. In the sell side report, buy side, there is their internal consumption to giving a very genuine return to the investor and beat the market benchmark in the buy side analyst. And what is the individual research report? They work for the research organization or boutique firm separated from the full-time investment firm and sell their research to their on the subscription basis. Anyone, just suppose that I performing the equity research report, what I can do, I can sell my research to any particular institution or any koi boutique firm which want to like the motive can be different for the equity research analyst. Someone want maybe a very investment purpose, someone has a very shorter period of time, someone has invested for the 5 year. So the purpose of research and quality of the research will vary according to the purpose. Someone has a very short term view, someone has to long term view, someone has to other not investing in the company, someone has a motive like anyone has given their loan to the company, he is wanting to how is my loan is safer or not. So there can be multiple scenarios for the purposes can be different. So according to the purpose, analysis of the research report will be different. Let us move on. Their client could be for the independent. Their client could be different: investor, institution, investment banker, regulators, and stock exchange, fund manager, and across you can see. And after that's three parts. newspaper, media, and consolidator of the information also publish their report. Let's move on. What are the primary responsibilities of the research analyst? Understanding the role of the research analyst. Now we will talk about the responsibilities. As equity research analyst, what is your responsibilities? Understanding the growth of the industry and the company. Firstly, understand the what is the sector is performing or not, whether we should invest on that sector or not. So understanding of the sector is very important. Is this investing this sector, is what is the growth prospect of this sector, and after the analyzing the growth process of the sector, what comes on the industry, after that we will come on the companies in a particular company. So understanding very broader perspective performance of the sector analysis first. So if you are not able to analyze the sector and how you will come on the company side, you can in this approach we will approach the top to bottom approach, where we analyze firstly the sector and after that we will come on the companies. So understanding about the sector, understanding about the economy, understanding about the industry, understanding about the companies. So in that scenario we cannot very go in a very deeper side. For that purposes we can go in a very practical way. We can create some more videos where we fully analyze the economy, industry, and the company analysis. We can I promise to you I will try to analyze one of the defense sector. What is the defense sector is going on, very doing very tremendous return in 1 year. The stock, most of the stock has going a very multiple 2 and 3 times of that, giving the 300% return and 400% return. We will try to cover on the one sector, like we are going to the defense sector, we will analyze in very thoroughly. So let us understand the what are the economic and economic analysis, what are the different parameters we should analyze. So what are the changes in various economic factor like national income, inflation, interest rate. So more and less we will talk about how the country is performing. Is the company is performing very well, GDP is going very good. So what we assume the how the GDP, what is the GDP drivers. So in the GDP data, where the in the GDP, how, what are the portion where the GDP's taxable income is coming, what is the government's revenue item where the government is generating more and more taxes. If the government is generating more and more taxes, then definitely what does this means, the sellings on the sector is very good, performance of that sector is very good. So taxable income for the government is rises, the GST collections will rise. So that what that does mean, the sector is performing very well. Like the, if you talk about automobile, if the automobile sector is performing very well, so what will happen, the person will give the taxes to the government. So in that scenario the GST collection will in that very in a very good way. So understanding about the economic, national income, inflation, about the interest rate and the unemployment, giving the picture of the how the performing of the any country. And after that, what are the physical policies and the monetary policy and their impact on the economy. In what is the physical and monetary policy. What is the monetary policy is still about the, like the how much money is flowing on a country. For managing the inflation, the government can hike the interest rate and cut the interest rate according to economic situation. Like in the scenarios what is happened, government is maintaining the like the inflation interest rate on the economy. uh, in the scenarios where the inflation is very high in the economy, so what will happen, what will happen in the higher inflation scenario. So government will try to reduce reduce the money flow from the economy. So what will he will increase the interest rate on the economy. In that scenario what will happen, the if the interest is rate is high, so more and more people try to invest in a safer instrument. He will got better return in their FDs. So what will happen, they will invest their money in the fixed deposit and fixed instrument. So in that scenarios the circulation of the money will reduce in the economies after the demands of the goods and services will decline, and after that inflationary scenario will come down. It will go in a vice versa. In the like the country is not performing very well, inflation is very low, and the growth in the economy is very slow. So what will happen? The government will cut the interest rate. So if the government will cut the interest rate, the borrowing cost will reduce. So more and more people may will for applying for the loan, getting loan at a lower interest rate. They will come in the market, they will invest, they will demand more and more things. So what will happen? The growth prospect will increase, products demand will rise. In that scenario, growth will happen. After the it is a cycle of the growth, cutting and high interest rate and lowering the interest rate according to the economic cycles. There are very various factors like the FDI and FPIs. So where the FDI flow is very huge, in which sector FDIs are coming very sharply. What is the FPI? FDI is for more and more for the long-term perspective. If FDI is coming any sector, it will invest most of the times in a infrastructure basis, where the any industry is starting giving on a very ground zero in a real basis. The FDI is coming for the long term vision, where the FPI investor is more and more looking for the short term. They are investing like most of the times in stock market on a trading instrument, where they can invest and reduce, where they invest and buy and selling very frequent basis. It is a very short term basis, the FPI. What are the saving and the investment patterns of the company, any country, of the consumers any particular country? What are the global factor impacting the GDP growth based on the export and import transaction? It is very important for checking the performance of the any country. If you talk about India, so what is more and more said, are we are importing or we are exporting more? As we said, we are importing more as compared to exporting. So we are the net importer, not the net exporter. In that scenario, what is happening? Our currency is weakening. So we have to analyze all the prospect of the economies. These are the very common and basic factor we have to analyze in the economic analysis. I hope I have covered the more and more economics analysis, the basic economic analysis. If you demand, I will create more economic analysis video in a very longer thing and a very in a deeper side. Understanding the industry after the clearing the picture of the economy in your mind. If your picture of the economy is clear in your mind, what will happen? Should we invest in Bangladesh? Should we invest in Pakistan? Should we invest in Sri Lanka? Should we invest in the US? Should we invest in China? Should we invest in Bhutan? Should we invest in UK? So understanding of the which country our investment is going on, after the performing the economic analysis, your somehow the mind picture in mind in a very clear manner कि I will invest in that country. So clearation of the investment in that country. After that comes where we invest, in which company we should invest. And after the clearing that picture in your mind, the economic parameters, clear and basic understanding of the analysis of the economy, you will try to understand in the any country there are different types of industry. In which industry we should invest? So what will come? The industry analysis will come in the picture. After analyzing how we should study the industry, you should track the like a very sectorial indices. You can cover the basic model. We should go on the very curriculum wise. On we are not going very emphasize on a deeper side, to just move on what is the curriculum is saying. So research analyst is need to the understand thoroughly and regulatory environment prevailing prevalent in the industry and businesses model, competition, operating factors, sensitivity of the demand, prices, and consumer and behavior. There are different type of industries like the power sector, which is dominated by the most of the regulation in the government side. We will talk about the PSUs, we will talk about the private sector, we will talk about the monopolies businesses. There are different type of segment and the variation in the business model, consumption, competition. There are multiple factor which is comes on the pitch, which comes on the picture that will not come in a one day. You have to analyze different industries, companies. It will come in a very longer way. If you are generally want to become a research analyst, it is not a one day job. You can become a research analyst, you come on a sector, you are going to invest. That will not happen like that. So understanding of the industry, it will different to industry, right? Which industry you want, pick one industry, try to analyze that. That is a very easy method. Try to understand that industry that you want, that you use, like going on the FMCG, how the FMCG industry is moving on, what is the driver of the FMCG industry, how, which product in industry is more emphasizing, and what are the basic growth drivers of the like FMCG industry, and how the demands will come, in which sector is demand is going, which product of the demand is rising, which product for demand is declining. So there is a various type of products and services. Now go on the company. After the identify the clearing your picture on your mind, I will go invest in that company, in that country. In that country, we will invest on this sector. In which sector I am going to invest in that company. This economy, industry, and company analysis will come, and that's the very clear picture in the mind. After clearing the EIC analysis, just go on the basic principle of the interaction with the company and the client. I will recommend you to going before an exam. You should must read the NISM notebook that is given on the NISM website. I will attach this link in this video description as well as. So go and read that workbook. I am creating that video series that will help you to understand and becoming a research analyst. What are the day-to-day responsibility and what is job roles of the research analyst. The purpose is understanding more and more clearly. So let us discuss the basic principle of the interaction with the company and the client. So if you see in the my slide, the internet has a lot of information available. It is advisable for a research analyst to, if having the clarity in your mind, you know about the company, you know about the sector, you know about the different about the industry growth drivers. So what you recommend, you should talk to the management. If you can talk to the management, what is the your company will perform in next quarter, what is your growth for a next upcoming 2 year, what you are expecting, and what are the competition you will face. That type of question you can ask to the management. You are saying in a previous quarter like that, what is their performance to the next quarter, what will happen. So you can ask the very intelligent question to the investor. What are in that scenarios, what are the basic principles you should know. Let us discuss one by one. We just quick on very faster way. So this communication with the management likely does require the analyst to have a clarity of thoughts and good listening abilities. When the management is speaking, you will try to listen first. After that, you have to respond to the management. Don't respond firstly, first complete the management talk, and after that you should ask the question to the management. What is the pre-meeting research analyst? Before going on a meeting, you should read about the company, industry, and the what about the performance of the of the company on a previous basis. You should read on that things. That is called the pre-meeting research. Independent and the neutrality review. As a research analyst, you should not be the biased one. Firstly, understand, having a very bias is in an image that can create a header for create a very hindrance in your mind. to grasping new information to the management, and because biasness might be impact your research, so it is recommended doing independent and neutrality on your point of view, not the positive, not the negative, just be a neutral. That will good for as a research point of view. Networking, going on a meet on the management, creating your more and more network, because it is called network is your network. More and more network you will create, more and more opportunity will create for yourself and your companies as well. As clarity of question, whatever the question you ask to the management, that's picture your own mind, it very clear. If your picture in mind it very clear, you will communicate to the management in a very effectively manner. Just go and the next slide. What are the basic guidelines for a research analyst is given on the understand. Guidelines that the research analyst follow in their communication with the client. They must realistic and suggesting the company to the client. Suggestion should be the based on the fact and the figure, not on the optimism, pessimism, and biased view on the subject of the company. Suppose one research analyst go on a management and talk very biased, he is giving in a very ask any biased question. So what will happen in that scenario? Your talk to the management and your behavior, so that will just in on a relation basis on the communication will not a very effective manner. What you are expecting, that will create not good for your analysis point of view. To what is expecting, don't be optimism, pessimism, and the biased as the requirement of analysis. Believe on the facts and the figure, that is good as a research analyst. Don't be optimism, pessimism, and the biased view. There is a many conflict of interest. Research analyst shares of the company and subject of the such information. So it is very important the conflict of interest. We will discuss on a further. It is a very regulated basis. In chapter number 13, we will discuss a lot of the conflict of interest. Just give a firstly example. Suppose that I am a research analyst. I have bought the share of the company A, and I am going to talk to the management in in a meeting, in a quarterly update a con call meeting of the company. So it, if I have investing in the company, what will happen? It is just genuinely the my mind is the bias towards the company A. That will not happen. That will create a research, or my investment will create a conflict of interest. My research would be the biased. Might be the probability of the biasness will increase na. If suppose that if I have a doctor, I have to make a treatment of my child. What will happen? It is easy to treat my child having his father to be a doctor. It will not. It will somehow the emotion will come on the picture, biasness on the picture will come. So what will, in that scenario, what will happen? The conflict of interest. These are like a giving example, not a very perfect like example, but I have giving understanding how the conflict of interest can arise. Assumption, if any, must be clearly stated in the research report. What is the assumption? And sometimes you have take the assumption that is not a very genuine basis. Whatever assumption you should make, that's your own assumption. It should be the clearly stated on your report. Abbreviation jargons should be avoided or explained clearly in the simple word. Don't use very high-fi word. Clear, simple, clear, concise, to the point. नो, ज़्यादा चक चक मत करो, सीधा टू द पॉइंट पे आओ। सिंपल सी चीज़ है। किसी को 10 पेज की रिपोर्ट पढ़ने का कोई टाइम नहीं है। सिंपल, क्लियर, शॉर्ट, दैट सिंपल। जितना इजी है उतना आसान है उतना ही तुम्हारी ग्रोथ है एज अ एनालिस्ट। किसी को 36 पेज 40 पेज पढ़ने 50 पेज पढ़ने का टाइम नहीं है। अनलेस एंड आईटी बहुत बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं कर रहा है। अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट बड़ा है तो पर्पज चेंज हुआ है, तो 60 पन्ना चलेगा। छोटा इन्वेस्टमेंट में 60 पन्ना नहीं चलेगा, कोई नहीं पढ़ेगा। तो क्लियर कंसाइज रहना चाहिए, सिंपल सी बात है। तो व्हाट इज द रोल्स ऑफ द रिसर्च एनालिस्ट? तो कलेक्शन ऑफ द डाटा इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम द डिफरेंट रिलायबल सोर्सेज एंड देयर इंटरप्रिटेशन दैट कैन बी कन्वर्टेड इनटू रिकमेंडेशन। देखो, until and unless where you have to come, you have to perform economy analysis, industry analysis, the company analysis. You have to understanding the basic principle of the communication to the management, how you should communicate to management. What is the one of the motive of that thing? I say the one of the motive is the understanding about the what is the but until and unless where you have to come, you have to come giving the recommendation to your client, which you have talked to the principle number one: buy, hold, or sell the particular security. Ultimately, what are the motive of doing that of thing? Recommend to your client. Should you buy this stock? Whether you to sell this stock, where you should hold that stock. What is the definition of that? We will go on the next video. So understanding this, what is the role of the RA? Collection of data and information from the different variable sources, their interpretation that can be converted into the recommendation to perform their role with the utmost sincerity, honesty, and ethics, without any bias, the following all the rules and regulations specified by the SEBI, both in word and the spirit. Analyst can use the technology like recording the device while interviewing and the communication with the client, and only after taking their due consent for a recording. You should record the things, but you should ask the management. So, sir, we are doing a purpose of the research. Should can I record this video, audio, or video for for doing our analysis purposes? Take a consent from the management. After that, you can record. If they permit, if they can record, you should record.